So in our clinical work, we experienced that there is a major interpersonal variation in anesthesiological management. So this was our motivation to gain more knowledge on the topic. So we conducted a comprehensive literature search on randomized controlled trials on ventilatory targets, fraction of expired oxygen targets, goal-directed therapy, and blood pressure targets. From this, we have published 5 systematic reviews, including this review focusing on blood pressure targets during general anesthesia for non-cardiac surgery. So we identified 13 randomized controlled trials investigating blood pressure targets during general anesthesia for non-cardiac surgery. Unfortunately, these trials are heterogeneous in type of surgery, patients included, and blood pressure interventions, with both fixed blood pressure and individualized blood pressure targets. Furthermore, the trials reported very different outcomes. Thus, it was not feasible to conduct any meta-analysis, and our review is descriptive. So, in summary, none of the trials reported any difference in mortality or hospital length of stay when comparing a high blood pressure group with a low blood pressure group. 4 trials found that a higher blood pressure decreased the incidence of delirium, while 3 trials were inconclusive. 2 of 7 trials reported increased bleeding in the high blood pressure group, while no difference was seen in the remaining trials. 2 of 7 trials reported increased postoperative creatinine in the low blood pressure group. One of these trials was the often cited trial by Fouché from 2017. Fouché randomized patients to either a systolic blood pressure of minimum 80 millimeter mercury to a individualized systolic blood pressure of plus minus 10% of baseline systolic blood pressure. When looking at the 2 groups, the achieved mean systolic blood pressure were very similar, and thus the evidence or the results might be attributed to the individualized blood pressure management. These findings are very interesting, however, need to be validated in new randomized controlled trials. In conclusion, our review must conclude that evidence on intraoperative blood pressure management are lacking, and that it is not possible to recommend a certain blood pressure target with the current evidence available. Due to lack of evidence from randomized controlled trials, the few guidelines on intraoperative blood pressure management are guided by observational studies. These studies have found that intraoperative hypertension increases the incidence of morbidity and mortality. However, with hypertension definition varying from mean arterial pressure of minimum or below 40 millimeter mercury to mean arterial pressure below 80 millimeter mercury. Due to the observational design, these studies investigate the blood pressure achieved and not a certain blood pressure target. And due to confounding, these observational studies are at high risk of bias, and it is unclear if hypertension is causally related to increased postoperative complications. Therefore, there is need of large randomized controlled trials or new large randomized controlled trials on intraoperative blood pressure management.